Welcome back to War Thunder and welcome aboard the P-43A, and this is also a reward vehicle for the current marathon that's going on. Obviously, the first question that might come into your mind after my yesterday's video about the Packwagen, or the Puma with the 75mm gun, more or less fixed mounted, is this vehicle as good? Is it, a troll vehicle like a few of the reward vehicles always have been in the past? The question is, no. It performs really nicely at its BR of 3.0. And a bit of it comes obviously from the 50 cals. They are quite good, of which this plane has 4, but the ammunition count is a bit of a weakness, just 800 rounds. That's 200 rounds per machine gun. That is not too much. If you're a bit trigger happy, you can run out of it quite easily. So I wasted here quite some bit on this BF-109, and he then dove away and he catched the A-36 off guard that was chasing the Norway bots. I can't really say that I'm very mad about this, because the A-36 got its punishment for hunting AIs for the quick buck, or the cheap RP. So Norway is always engine friendly, and the first thing that I have to say is this engine has a jump temperature. At some point there is, with so many planes in War Thunder, internal timer. Once it runs down, suddenly the engine temperature jumps down, and even with Mach it's barely manageable. So, well, it's okay with 100% then, but don't think about WEP. It's nearly impossible to use them. The funny thing here is that I actually have just 80 rounds left, and I needed like 90% of my ammunition count for one BF-109. Let's see how it does with the last one. Yes, my shooting was far from being perfect. I get hit by AAA. Never mind. So the BF-109 stalls out. Very bad behavior by a E-series, a quick burst, and I get a critical hit, lost the tail control. That's him done, and I managed to do this with 80 rounds. So 90% of my ammunition for one plane, and then more or less the same plane, 10%. Yeah, this is the difference between accurate shooting and poor shooting. Then this next match, or rather the scene, is on the map landing, preparation for the landing on Hokkaido. So it's not Hokkaido itself, and we are facing the British. Notice please where I am on the map. I climbed the other way, a bit of side climbing here, and while this plane has quite a nice climb rate, I did not really manage to get over the Hurricanes and Spitfires. I'm more or less on equal altitude. Some of those are higher BR than me. I guess if I remember correctly, there was a Spitfire Mark IIB 3.7. Am I right? Am I right? Yeah, we will see. And well, what the British do to the Americans usually on this map, especially at a bit higher ranks like rank 4. Yeah. Well, it also has to do something with bomber spam and so on. I told enough about it, so let's go back to the vehicle. It is a bit sluggish, but it has elevator authority, and the instructor doesn't hammer in as hard as on some of the higher German planes, or higher BR German planes. Yeah, and the first thing that I do is going into a head-on with a, what was it, Hurricane Mark II, and I execute him. So those are the powerful 50 cals for you. Throwing all your eggs in one basket that has the writing head-on on it is not the best. I know that, but the nice thing, what always was missing for the 50 cals, is the punishment for the enemy in a head-on. And nowadays I think it's questionable if the 50 cals are actually on point. I think they are a bit too strong. I'm not saying that they are completely overpowered, but they are a bit too strong, especially when we compare it to other weapon systems that should have equal or massively more punch. German 30mm, Minengeschosse, hello. Yeah, they still sometimes spark for me, which is very annoying if you take into account the low ammunition count and the muzzle velocity, and sometimes also the broken flight models on the planes you try to get those weapons onto the enemy plane. So the next question that I simply want to answer a bit, wider or with more arguments is this plane as important for the American tech tree than the Sonderkraftfahrzeug 234-4, the Puma with the 75mm pack, or the Packwagen, whatever you want to call it, the other reward vehicle? Is it as important for the American Air Force as the other vehicle is important for the German tanks? The very fast, quick and simple answer is no. Why not? Well, while the plane is nice and it does its job and it brings in the results, it doesn't perform really well in an up tier. But that is nice, because you don't get a plane that is borderline and overpowered. It's your skill that is important to make it work, but you can make it work, as you can see in the background footage. The Puma fills a gap that other German tanks have difficulties performing in. The massive punch, the mobility, and the sneakiness to a certain degree. It's not a magical M56 substitute for the Germans, but you can troll around with it and get away with it. And then, especially with the lineup discussion, you can just simply go into a higher BR battle rating and just how to say it, capture a point, maybe kill one or two enemies, go into a plane, and then perform in that way. With this plane, I don't think you can pull that off too often. It might work, but not the same way that the Packwagen does it. And that suicide head-on was totally worth it. So, that was 4 kills against the British. Can we do better? Can we do better than 4 kills? Obviously, yes. If I ask it like that, obviously I have, background footage for you that is better. Oh look, Norway. Yeah. I just love Norway for both sides. It's an asymmetrical map. What I dislike about Norway are the bombers that just fly into space, but I guess that's not the fault of the map, is it? So again, I don't think that this plane by itself is really worth it. It looks a bit like the pea shooter without the wheels, and it handles overall quite nicely. It's nothing ridiculously overpowered, but it's certainly nothing bad. And that sums it up. You have 50 cals, like on so many other planes, or the overwhelming majority of the American tech tree. At its battle rating, I mean, it's, what rank is it? It's rank 2. How much can you research with a rank 2 aircraft? Yeah, not too much. I mean, yeah, up to rank 3. I mean, the income is nice if you get a decent game, but then again, can you do that with another plane again as well? I mean, there is, for example, the beautiful A6 M2 to purchase, or the XP55, no further introduction needed, XP38G, all to purchase, the P-43A-1, also another very bad plane, and they are all regular tech tree, or not tech tree, but premium vehicles. You can purchase them. Yes, there are further exceptions like the P-51A, the PV-2D Harpoon, and so on, but from tier 3 onwards you get a penalty for researching, so tier 4 vehicles are nothing that you can research effectively. That is the drawback. And in tank RB it's more or less useless. You don't have rockets, you don't have bombs, you have 50 cals with limited amount of ammunition compared to other American planes, and then your performance is not outstanding, especially at higher BR. It might be, a gap filler to get then afterwards into another tank or aircraft to, I don't know, get the spawn points, although planes are always more expensive than tanks if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so now let's concentrate here. Let's get the concentration back on the gameplay. So again, I face a BF-109, and immediately we will see it's not just any BF-109. It's not just any. It's an E4. Yeah, but he did not put all his climb rate to use. And now he is in a scissoring fight, and you can see the plane is not too bad with certain key binding input and prediction where the enemy is going. You can really get the shots in. 50 cals for hitting the target are probably one of the best weapon systems in the game. So now I let him go. It cost me 50 rounds of ammunition, and I smoked his engine. So at some point he has to RTB. But I guess at this battle rating, many people just then go for wild head-ons and just pressure the fight like they normally wouldn't do with an undamaged engine. But I'm still above a lot of the enemy players, and there is one BF-109. And one BF-109 that's above you is not a death sentence. It's a problem, but it's not a certain death sentence like if you would be, for example, in a German plane and there is a Spitfire above you. You are in trouble unless the Spitfire pilot does stupid stuff, which Spitfire pilots tend to do a lot. Okay, now putting the rant aside, this BF-109 wants to go into a head-on, and I do the usual evading stuff, fake a head-on, turn around. It's just an F2. I like the F2, don't get me wrong, but I know what I am in, and with flap control and throttle control, I can easily turn into him and get guns on target. Maybe he could have cut shorter as well with flaps and throttle control. Maybe he did it, I don't know. Maybe he's just stuck. So yeah, then a few rounds into him, he turns around, correct my aim, more hits. Didn't I just speak about puffed 50 cals? It doesn't work every time, so careful aim, and there we go. Plane exploded because the pilot is unconscious. Yeah, I take it. And then there are bots. 3 of them. Now, I'm very close after I've, killed BF-109. So let's get some loot in. And you can see very short bursts. I try to, get my aim better. And you can see I'm not the best 50 cal shooter out there. The BF-110 does evasive actions, and yes, he doesn't go down, which you might mistake it for. Then the next one gets hit again, and pilot is unconscious. Those 50 cals lately, they have a nasty tendency to kill pilots from behind, like the British 7.7s. And yes, there is the other BF-110 again. And I turn around. I'm a bit bored. I actually did not think that this game would be special. And no, I don't have any issues with silver lines, or I don't have to research anything. So now, third one down. But notice, first I climbed. First I interacted with the enemy. I smoked on one BF-109's engine. I killed another one. And then I was, by some miracle, around those planes, and I did not waste too much ammunition, but it will bite me in the ass in a few moments. So there is a BF-109, and he actually stalls out. For the moment I tapped out, and when I tapped in I saw him doing this. Look at the speed, look at the speed. Actually you can push this plane up to 700, but from 650 onwards you get a terrible lockup. One of the heaviest lockups that I have witnessed in quite some time. Oh, it's another B-49 F2, so let the dance begin. And yeah, this Italian bomber, the big Spaviero, was on fire, and a quick kill here and light him on fire again. Is this a kill steal? Yeah, but I would have killed him anyway. You know, he might have landed on the water, and with my recent experience with Italian planes, they can swim for quite some time. I have a video footage up where I was alive for like 10 minutes once I dropped into the water at low speed, of course. So, and then the Stuka, I pump a few shots into him. I have no ammunition left, and he got set on fire. And watch this beautiful picture. Beautiful. You know, when War Thunder works, it's one of the best experiences that you have in the game. And huge shout out to this Italian fighter player. He actually, look at this. We actually killed the entire German team without any losses except 2 of us. And now I need to go back to the airfield. And luckily our patrol ships, or you know, the little boats, captured the island, and we have a place to land. Obviously Norway has a long history of this island, you know. Previously it was the flag island. The Germans didn't have to do anything but fly close to this island, drag the Allied planes in, and they got shot down like on a main airfield. And the Allies had no place to land, except for the time when the boats captured the island, which they never did because the Germans were quite, you know, interested in keeping this island, and they were flying around. So there always were there were always a few planes around to kill those boats. These days not that often anymore, so the island gets more and more visited by Allied pilots, and then they just kill the planes that try to harvest the boats. Which is right and a bit wrong at the same time, because there are usually 1 or 2 German ground strikers or planes that just go there, and they bait a not insignificant amount of enemy players down there, which then become easy prey for the German boom and zoomers, or they throw themselves in unnecessary head-ons, or both, whatever. So I'm just here repairing. And at this point I did not really think that this guy would survive it against a Spitfire and a P-40, but then he kills the P-40, and he actually killed something just before that. You could see the kill message a few seconds before, and now it looks like he has no chance against the Spitfire. But this is an Italian plane, and Italian planes have a nasty habit of ripping Spitfires a new one, because Spitfires think they still fight a German plane. Again, Spitfire pilots, I mean, you can rant about any nation's pilots or tankers what you want, but Spitfires, it just is so unnecessary how they throw away their advantages, or don't pay attention at all to the enemy. And that was the 3rd plane that this guy shot down in quick succession. So big shout out to Berkolok, I hope I pronounced that right. So yeah, and at this point I did not really think about, you know, shooting him down, but I thought about taking his advantage. I'm pretty good in the theory of defensive flying. I just can't do it with German planes, or at least I can't do it to such a degree that I actually survive it, but I can pretty nicely bait for him. And there you can see the P-39N, which is the one that I want to prepare this kill for. Why? Because he is an awesome plane, and he also defies the laws of physics to a certain degree. Having said that, it doesn't matter how good your aircraft is. if you are completely ignorant to the rules of combat, you still might fail. And he goes for me, I turn into him. I go very low to the ground so he can't zoom through. He has to turn to avoid the crash. And there we go. There we go. I turn into him and yeah, I shoot a bit wild. I have full ammunition right now, so I could do it. And then he does a very crucial mistake. He turns. He had the speed. I'm not quite sure if he saw the P-39 already, but you know, that was unnecessary. So he goes into a head-on, kills the F6F, and yeah, that's at least the 4th kill that I could recall. And at this moment, you know, I'm shooting wild here. I'm doing terrible. I'm doing terrible. And yeah, I just more or less run out of ammunition nearly here. And but you can see I have him under control up until this point. And now 2 allied planes come very close. And he's actually too slow. And while the P-39 seems to have made the killing shot, I get awarded the kill. So that's an ace. That's an ace. I call it an ace. I have 5 kills. I call it an ace. And 3 bots. So yeah, it's okay. And then we can see the reward just in a moment. So again, to recap it very quickly. Do I like the plane? Yes. Is it a good plane? At its BR, yes. But is it really worth the trouble? No. It's nothing comparable to the Packwagen, the Sonderkraftfahrzeug 234-4. But it's a nice plane. However, having played so many events already, I don't think that this is one of the gimmick planes or one of the secret weapons of war that you should go for. However, let's have a quick look at the post-battle results. So 5 player kills, 3 bots, equal 8 target destroyed for 144,000 silver lines with the premium account, 9,245 research points. It's quite a nice income, I have to say. With a premium account, with the premium bonus that you get on this plane. And yeah, in this battle I think there were no boosters activated, so that's pure income for that. Also, we won the battle. Yeah, and 5,340 score points is quite something. So that's it for me with this plane. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope I could help you with the decision to go for this plane. Although I'm not quite sure for the second stage plane, we will have to see. So if you want to get the second one, then you get this one by default, I guess. So I hope you give this video a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other in the skies of War Thunder.